Alright guys, glad to see you tune in, and as always, it's Thursday night and this is live at 9:45 with me, your host, VanOrd of VanOrd Customs, and I'm here to bring you an interview of another person who is doing awesome things inside of our scale hobby here that we have. So let me talk about a couple things before I get this all fired up and running here on all cylinders. First and foremost, let's talk about the fact that this is a live question-answer interview series. Additionally, let's talk about the fact that there's only like 11 people in here. How about we share this in some groups, people who are watching? That would be really awesome. Pump this number up a little bit for our guest who we're going to have on this evening, who is Mr. Tom Asher. And if you don't know who Tom Asher is, he is the guy behind Three Brothers RC, and he is doing great things. Can't click on the feed to watch it. It's been doing that for a while now. Can only watch in something. Sorry, Todd, I don't know. That's weird. Facebook does weird stuff. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know. So, anyway, back to what's going on as I read statements and stuff like that. Here's the focus. Let's talk real quick about the show, what's going on, get this thing fired up, and bring Tom in for this interview because I'm curious to hear what he has to say, just like I'm sure all of you are. First and foremost, if you're not following me on all of the social media platforms, please do so at VanOrd Customs, so VanOrd_Customs on Instagram, VanOrd Customs on Facebook, and VanOrd Customs on YouTube, where you can pick up any of the late past episodes that you have maybe missed, and watch from there. Additionally, I do have some new guests filtering in and lining up, so if you haven't seen any updates on that for a while, there's a couple in the works, and they will be filtering out over the few next coming days, and we will be announcing who's going to be on the show starting next week and so on and so forth. Alright, so let's get this thing fired up and moving by bringing Tom on the show. Give me just a second, guys. Uh-oh, I got a problem. It won't let me bring Tom on. Alright, let me do some fancy stuff here. Alright, Tom, if you're watching in one way, try to follow the invite I just sent you. It should allow me to bring you on when you get there. So back to the other things that are going on while I'm working on trying to get Tom in where I can bring him on camera. There we go. Good to go. Basically what I was going to say is all the behind the scenes things I've been doing is I have been gearing up to put out a bunch of really cool, awesome stuff, and I just haven't gotten there. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good.
Good. All right, man. So, nice to see you again from like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. For real this time.
Yeah, for real this time. So, let's just fire this thing right up there and tell us a little bit about yourself. Three Brothers is new, so maybe not a lot of people know who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, we're a real new company. Actually, we just started in April.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to bring out good products, new innovations for the crawler community that I've been a part of for so long, as some of you know. And it's just it happened earlier this year, and we got it rolling in April. And so far it's really taken off and worked out pretty good. It's amazing, the feedback and everything that you get from people, and hopefully we can continue this and keep on growing. So that's the goal.
Awesome, man. So you said you've been in the hobby for a long time. I've known you for a really long time, actually, which is awesome. How long have you been in the hobby?
Well, I used to race off-road quite a bit, and I retired from the off-road circuit in 2004, and just about within weeks later I got into the RC scale truck stuff. So basically around 2004
Okay.
is when I first got started.
All right, man. What? So you were racing, and we could talk about like what got you into that side, but what brought you over into the crawling side? What was the draw?
Funny story. I just got out of racing, and you're still antsy to do stuff. And I was actually on YouTube, and I come across some crawler videos, but like way back
Yeah.
when before Axial and all of them, before RC four drive and all that stuff, and they had crawler videos, and there was a small RC crawler called an Island. I don't know if you
I
remember those.
do.
They had a 6 scale and a 18 scale, and they were really, really cheap Walmart crawlers, quality crawlers. But what you could make them into was pretty neat. So that's actually inspired me to go on. It was cheap to get into,
Yeah.
buy a $39 toy and actually make it into something. So that's what started it for me a long time ago.
Yeah. So earlier when you and I had talked to get ready for all of this, you'd said like, "Are you reading all the questions, or are you going off script?" And so here's an off script question for you. That's where the roots are. I noticed like a year ago, you kind of dabbled back in like the buy the Walmart crawler and play with it. How did that turn out?
Oh, yeah. Actually, that was an Amazon crawler. I bought it for $11.99, and I ended up modifying. I put 2.2 wheels on it, buying these micro motors that were really strong, and beefing it up, tuning the suspension, and it literally was almost comp worthy.
Yeah.
For an $11 crawler. So I've always loved modifying things and trying to make the most out of something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of funny that I got into that.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. So everybody else is building these high dollar rigs and blasting them all over the internet, and you have this like $12 truck that you're having as much fun as everybody else and still doing it. And I applaud that. It was great. I love it. So
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
absolutely. What? All right. So let's go back to the racing days. Let's go back to the very beginning. What was your first hobby grade RC?
First hobby grade RC, I remember walking into an RC shop, and I wanted a monster truck. So I had a choice. I had either a Clodbuster or a USA 1 by Kyosho. I don't know if you remember those. So I ended up getting a Kyosho, or USA 1 by Kyosho.
Nice.
And then I did what any normal adult would do, make it insanely fast, faster than you could drive it.
Right.
So that's the first thing I did with it.
And then the second thing you did was break it, I'm guessing?
It was break it, yes. I ran into a fence post and broke it in half. So, but it's funny how you go through those things.
Yeah.
And learning curve of, doing that.
Absolutely. Everybody wants to go fast till they realize that then you got to put them back together when you smash them into fence posts. So.
Yeah.
All right. If you weren't into RC, what would your hobby of choice be?
I do two hobbies, as you know. I still am in the motorcycle competitions and training and stuff like that, and RC. So if I wasn't doing RC, I'd probably have a little more time for the motorcycle.
Yeah.
But the RC takes up a good bit of my time, so I kind of split it between the two.
Yeah, awesome. So let's talk briefly about the motorcycle stuff for anybody out there that doesn't know. So I really just got to know you, and then you kind of like ducked out of RC and went like really deep into the whole motorcycle realm of what you've been doing for the last little bit. And so I followed your travels all over the world and all the cool stuff. So anybody who doesn't know, would you just touch on that real quick?
Yeah, just real quick. I got out of RC for just a little bit, and I ended up competing in an event that if you won the event, you got to compete on the United States team for BMW that went overseas and competed against 26 other countries.
Yeah.
So I ended up winning the event, And so I got chosen to be a part of the team. So I went over to Thailand and I got to compete on BMW gave me a new bike, and we got to compete against, all the other countries. And it was quite a, really neat life experience. And so then I come back and started training and doing these extreme events. I've done, a hard enduro on a 1200 GSA, and I try to push the limits, and do what I can.
Yeah.
Before I get too old. So I was doing that, and the bug for RC, I wanted to get back into it, and so I just jumped in with both feet like I always do, and I started building, a tuber and doing this and that, and I jumped back into it. So just took a few years off, and then went back full bore.
Awesome, man. So my next two questions are very much sorry, I just got my questions were going away. I just got an alert on my computer that said restart now, and I was like, no, don't do that. So the next two questions on my list are the two very standard ones. So it's big tires or small tires, and then brushed or brushless. And so those get posed to everybody out there in viewer land as well, whether it's now live or in the future who might be watching this over on YouTube. Favorites, big or small tires, and then brushed or brushless.
Big or small tires, that depends on my build. Both. I kind of like building things to scale. So, like for instance, this truck here behind me, it's a 1.9, and I'm running 4.75-inch tires, which I like to scale it out. So 10 scale, that'd be 47-inch tires, which is going to be the max you're going to run.
Probably.
So for me, there is no right or wrong. It's whatever you like to build. But I don't really want to put 2.2s and have a 5.75-inch tire, because that's like 57s or 54s on a pickup, and that's just a little too crazy for me. Not that you couldn't do it in real life, but I like this for a 1.9 truck like this. I like to stick, definitely nothing over 4.75 inch. I like to have it somewhat realistic. And then, but on the other hand, I love building 2.2 tubers.
Yeah.
So, I make the tubers a little big, like 10 scale big, where it takes a 9-inch tall driver, and then I'll run 2.2 tires, 5.5 inches or 5.75 inches.
Right.
So I kind of like to keep it scaled to the build.
Right.
So I've even done a 6 scale where a 2.2 tire worked great. It's perfectly scale on a 6 scale truck if you're going to try to make it look stock. So
yeah.
I try both. I love both. I love big and small. Depends what your build is and what your scale is.
All right.
So.
Solid answer. I love it. How about brushed or brushless, and why?
Well, that's a tricky question, especially since I sell brushless motors.
Yeah.
But brushed motors are great. They're still one of the smoothest motors you can get. I've won tons of comps using a brushed motor.
Yeah.
And I always like to say you could take a stock Traxxas brush motor or axial brush motor and still win a comp. But I like brushless better because, we like to run through mud and water, and at least I do. Just like I do my 1.1 truck.
Yeah.
First thing I do with my Jeep is I take it in a creek. That's just the fun of it for me.
Right.
So, and I think most scale guys that are into scale like running in mud and water some, and that's really hard on a brushed motor. So with the brushless, you get the reliability, and you don't burn up the motors as much, and you don't wear the brushes out, so it's less maintenance. So, I kind of like brushless better now that we have good options.
Yeah. All right. So I heard someone say show and tell. Like, I didn't hear them, obviously. I'm reading comments. That didn't make any sense. But anyway, I read a comment that said show and tell. So how about we grab the white truck behind you and talk about it briefly, and then we'll move on to some other comments, some other questions.
Okay. Yeah. Talk about stuff on it, or what I've done with it? Or...
Just show it off.
Oh, all right. So this is a new TRX4 I just picked up. TRX4 Sport, my first one. It's actually a good crawler. I really like it. It's worked out pretty well. You know, I love to drive, so I've driven the wheels off this already, and it works out pretty good. But let me take the hood off here. First thing, you want tips or just want to go on it, or what do you want?
Talk about the truck. So one of the things people really like when they tune into the show, especially, is when we can pull a truck off the shelf, talk about it for a few minutes, share a little bit about it, and then we just put it back on and crank through the questions. So it tends to go well. So just talk a little bit about what you got going on, what you're running, whatever you feel.
Okay, cool. So the TRX4 Sport, as you guys know, a pretty light truck compared to the regular TRX4 and some other trucks. It's pretty light, so I wanted to keep the same light theme with it. So I kept the stock body because I wanted it to be a trackless TRX4 for right now, you know. So I just got this cool paint job done. Thanks, Mike, if he's listening. He painted this for me. Did a good job. Did a great job on it. So, of course, I'm running my electronics, and I went with a low battery tray to keep the weight low, and I changed the springs on the shocks. I run like 50% droop, keep the chassis low. You know, you want it low as possible for center of gravity, and I raised the bumpers up as high as I can and put them in, and then cut the body. You know, try to get as much performance you can.
Yeah.
You know, in a 1.1, like my own Jeep Cherokee, I removed the bumpers because they got in the way.
Right.
But in scale competition, you know, you kind of got to have the bumpers for points, so that's why I leave it on here.
Yeah.
But anyway, I put one of our Kratos 6 motors in it. It is censored, brushless censored motor, and we're using a little Mamba Micro X, works perfect with them, you know, and these are real light motors, the Kratos 6 motors, and they're 6-pole 18 slot, but actually the 6-pole design's lighter than 4-pole. It's just the design of the motor.
Yep.
So to keep it all light, we kept with the Mamba Micro X. That's a nice, light, small, and for only 1900 kV, you can run the Micro X on it, no problem. And then I installed one of our new winches, which haven't been released yet, but they're up front. And I think a lot of people seen the video of pulling the trailer.
I know, I saw it.
So, yeah. Well, it's super strong, but I'm having some spools made for it, some custom aluminum spools that'll be real nice. So that's why I don't have that hooked up yet. But and of course, one of our steering servos in the front. But you know, mainly just keep the truck nice, light, simple. You know, I don't like going too extravagant on these things. I think a few minor mods to it, and you can, you know, have a super nice truck that's durable.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're doing with this. So basically, just I'm putting a servo, winch, speed controller, and motor in it, and I'll put lights on it as soon as I get some time, you know, and put some little more scale accessories. So you know, it is fun once you start building to make these more scale, even if it is Lexan. So, you know, the little things like added some interior and drivers to it, you know, little things like that. And then I got a roll bar for it I'm going to put on, and, you know, all that adds up. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree 110%. And it actually leads perfectly into my next question for you is, what do you like most about all of this stuff? Do you prefer the competition portion or the building portion of what we do here?
It's actually, I like the building better, but I never have the proper time to do it right. So I end up, you know, I love driving too. I probably love driving more than anything, but competing, I like, you know, I used to be a real good competitor. I haven't competed, you know, I've been so busy with this, I haven't competed a lot, but lately. But I used to be really big competition-wise. But I think I like building the best. You know, I got a tuber I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
I love testing and tuning the trucks and making changes, see what works best. And then, you know, we started this company with the electronics, and so I'm constantly seeing what I can do to make it better and you know, make the servos better and trying to, you know, improve on everything. So I think I like the whole process, figuring it out and seeing what I need to do next to go to the next level. So
Right.
I guess it's being creative. You know, the whole thing's about being creative.
Awesome, great answer. I like the creativity that you get to have with inside of our hobby as well. It's probably one of my favorite portions of what goes on because it was a good creative outlet for me, and I really wasn't much of a creative person before I got involved in this, and it kind of sparked all of that. Um, so one of the one of the things you talked about is you have your product here, this product there, and so I see the big banner behind you, the Three Brothers thing. Where did Three Brothers get started, and like, where did the name come from?
Well, it started once I figured out I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Um, we had to have a name for the company, and my two other brothers. There's three of us. I have two younger brothers, and Joel and Eric, and they're both into RCs too, a little bit, but not, you know, near what I am. But the three of us were able to put, you know, the funds together to help get this thing rolling.
Gotcha.
So, in honor of our effort together, we decided to go with Three Brothers RC. And I kind of like the name, you know, it makes it family oriented, and it is,
Yeah.
you know. And right now, me and my fiance do most of the work,
Mm-hmm.
so she helps a lot. So it is a family owned and business, and you know, we do what we can. So
That's awesome. I was assuming it was something like that, but I never put together that you had brothers, and I was like, how is it three brothers when I don't even know like that there's a brother? Like it never made any sense, but it makes perfect sense now. So
yeah.
what was
Well, one of the brothers way back helped me build you know, I had an indoor crawling facility, and
mm-hmm.
he was one of the original guys that helped me build and started with the nylons, and we did those and competed. It's funny, just a quick side story. Joel, my youngest brother, he got a nylon too. So he'd be in the garage working on these nylons, which is now you look back and think how crazy that is. But we actually went to a larger comp for that time back in, I don't know.
Uh-oh. And we're freezing. So if you're out there in viewer land, one of the things that tends to freeze up the other side of the video would be if you hit the like buttons or any of the emoji buttons. That can freeze up the guest side of your support because we absolutely do. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can like all you want, but Facebook doesn't love when we do that for some reason. So I see a comment that said broke the internet. Yeah, we broke an internet. Broke the internet, but that's okay. We'll get it back. It's not the first time it's happened. We recoup, we recover, we bring everybody back on. So I'm going to take this time for a second until I watch Tom's name come back in, and just regroup for a second and say that I do have some upcoming guests getting ready to be announced. Watch for those. They will be announced. Is he using Todd's internet? I don't know. Todd, is he at your house? Todd Grundish? Anybody? Because Todd's internet was awesome when we did live at 9:45. Anyway, so if you're not following me on all the social media things, check out VanOrd Customs on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and obviously at the website and what's going on. Let me see if I can't re-invite John or Tom back in and get things up and running here. All right, so blaming all of you for crashing the camera. I'm sorry. I love all of your stuff, and all your comments don't crash the camera, Michael Kubitka, but definitely the like buttons do, and I can't help it. For some reason, Facebook just does not like that at all. So if you wonder what I'm doing, I'm scrolling through lists and seeing when I can get him back in. So while we have this lull, does anybody have any questions for me that I can try and answer while we are working through a couple technical difficulties here and getting Tom back in? I'll see what I can do to help you out with any questions that you might have for me. Kind of fill the gap in what's going on. What's my middle name? Ooh, wouldn't you like to know, Haas? Okay. Ryan, I do not have a cat. You ask that a lot about people. The internet needs a BEC. Best comment I've seen so far. John Schultz, I'm not going to the fix. That's pretty far from me, so I don't have any major comps lined up right now for the near immediate future. I'm kind of just doing the local thing and recouping from the couple that I went to over the summer. Your guys' comments are awesome, by the way. I'm not sure what's going on. I sent an invite out to get Tom back in, and I don't see him in my list of people who are watching. So we are stuck at the moment. How are the hero shafts holding up? They're holding up really great. And they will continue to hold up great at the rate I'm driving them because I have not been running the truck with those on it for a while. Actually, my extent of RC, guys, has shifted a little bit here in the most recent times because I've been following my son around with a camera while he drives. And that is a really fun thing to do for any of you who have kids. Once you put the controller in their hand, it's kind of an amazing experience. Cake or pie? Pie. Beef or chicken? Beef? Ah, it is just me staring at my phone and talking to myself. See, and it's boring. You guys are still hanging in there. Thanks, Ryan. No one's behind me. Okay, that's a great question, John. So what's my favorite rig at the moment? My favorite rig at the moment has to be the Tri-Van still. I've not been able to replicate anything else that is nearly as fun to drive as that truck. It is completely unique in its own right, and it's a good time. You can take it on flat ground and have fun. You can take it in complicated areas and have fun. The Tri-Van is just fun to drive, and it's completely and utterly unique. My favorite truck is the one that takes me to work every day. Haas. Nice story. I like it. Alright, guys. So I'm not sure where Tom is. Not sure what happened. I need a Tri-Van too. Show us the Tri-Van. Alright, guys, give me a second. I'll step away and grab it. Okay. Did anybody see Tom Asher log in? Alright. Somebody call Tom. Somebody send him a message and see if we can get this thing fired back up. That would be really helpful and awesome. So this is the Tri-Van for anybody who's asking to see it. It is based off of an axial chassis and overall drivetrain underneath there. It has... he's gone. Sorry, I'm listening to other stuff. How hard is it for me to remove the body from the tri-van? It's 4 bolts that I don't have the tools to get to right now, but I can kind of show you what's going on under there anyway. So it is chain driven to the rear axle. It dumps out of a SCX-10-2 transfer case, yeah, all that stuff, and right into a Revo diff. Tom is back, and I'll bring him in as soon as I can put this truck down. And so then it double chain drives the rear tire. It's super fun to drive. If you a quad van, interesting. All right. So anyway, if you want to know more about the tri-van, its build thread is on RCC. I try to plug forums as much as I can. So over on RCC, there's a whole build thread that it says, I bet you haven't seen this before, class 1 with 3 wheels or something like that. I'll link it after we're done talking and do the show. So let me see if I can bring Tom back on and get this thing fired up. Guest requests. I'm not seeing. Oh my. Geez, guys, this is the most technical difficulty I've had in a long time. I apologize. Quad van would be just basically 4 wheels. That's awesome. Alright. So, let's see what I can do here. I bet this looks really weird when I'm sitting here typing. Alright. Tom, I cannot find you anywhere. So there should be if you're still in here, Tom, there should be a icon at the bottom of the screen that looks like a person and then a person inside of a box. If you click that icon, it will ask me if you can join this live feed, like Josh Clark just did. And once you ask me to join the live feed, then I can bring you on, but I cannot find you in my list. There's my list. There you are, coming in. All right, perfect. We're gonna be back up and running here in just a second, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. You gotta love technical difficulties. All right, there we go.
Hey.
So,
Sorry about that. I lost my Wi-Fi, so.
Hey, it happens. So I want to just address one thing that people said. They said, can we all try and join? You can. It will probably kill our feed again if you all try and join. Please don't. If you want to be on the show, just send me a message. I'd be more than happy to work with you about getting you on the show. Like, I just want to promote people and say they're doing a good job and show off the cool stuff that's going on. So please don't kill my feed. Just send me a message. Thank you very much. All right, back to you. So let's talk about Three Brothers is what we were talking about. And my next question that was just about ready to come out of my mouth is, what was the first product that you guys put out there?
Well, our first, I guess, actual product on the market was the G13 servo. It's not the product that I started with. Originally, I wasn't going to sell servos.
Yeah.
We had been working on the 6-pole design that we're currently selling now, the censored 6-pole, because it's new. You haven't seen that before on the market, so we kind of got a first out there product. But it took so long to get it working and get the bugs out and things exactly what we wanted. We were able to bring the servos into the market beforehand, and I didn't really think they'd take off like they have, but they've taken off a lot more better than we expected, and they're kind of our main product now is the servos, which I was thinking the 6-pole censored motor would be the big hit, which it is a great product, but everybody wants the servos, so we're trying to keep those going. So
All right.
I guess the servo would be the first product.
Yeah. So, here's a question that I like to ask a lot of people who are running small businesses with inside of our RC hobby. And so it's a series of questions. So the first part is, what is your favorite part about running the small business inside of the RC hobby? So your favorite part of running Three Brothers, and then what is your least favorite part about running Three Brothers?
Um, the most favorite part about running Three Brothers?
Yeah.
Uh, I like, uh, I really like the feedback that you get. When customers get your product, and they tell you, oh, I love this, and I really love the feedback, and I enjoy having, creating, creating and building that product and putting it to market, and uh, it's easier to sell something when you believe in it.
Right.
So I really like that. I'm not a salesman at all, and but when you have something you really like, it's a lot easier to get out there and say, hey, check this out, because it's something that I really like. So I enjoy that aspect of it. Um, the part I don't like, I guess, would be um, there is some work involved as far as that goes. There's a lot of work. Um, I don't know. There's not too many negatives, except you're always married to your work. Orders always come in, and in the morning you always gotta get them fulfilled and get them right out. Once Amazon came in, the waiting a week or two for shipping, those days are over. So everybody wants their everyone wants their product now, which I can understand. I do too. I want it quick. So
Yeah.
probably it's hard to every day you have to, you're obligated to get that stuff out. So it's not like you can call in sick, or something like that.
Yep.
So that's probably the least part. Sometimes you're up to, way in the morning getting orders done.
Yep.
And that's probably the least favorite part.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with both your sides of that, where the order part is the more difficult, hectic part of all of this stuff, and then the favorite part is feedback, and then like talking to people. Man, talking to people is so fun, and it like increases your exposure and ability to talk to people, which is one of the things that this whole thing did that I wasn't expecting as much on my end. My goal was to promote all of you guys, and then now I talk to people way more than I did before, and it's awesome. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand. I understand where you're coming from in both your answers for sure. Uh, let's talk about you. You've alluded to it. You said that your motors have a 6-pole design. What makes them stand apart? Like, what makes that superior to any of the other choices that are out there? In your belief
Um,
that you got going on there.
well, I guess we started with brushed motors,
Yeah.
and then what the next came was, remember the 2-pole brushless motors?
Mm-hmm.
The end runners. We had the 2-pole brushless end runners, but they cogged a lot. So it was like, they kept stalling and stalling, and then they'd take right off, and they were a ball. But you couldn't really crawl with them, so people still ran the brushed motors. So then they come out with the 4-pole motors. They had a little more torque than the 2 poles, but they still cogged. So then after that, we came out with the 4-pole censored. And that's what everybody's been running for a long time. Well, we were able to come up with the 6-pole censored. So it's just the next, evolution of end runners, of the brushless end runners. The more poles you have, the more pushes you get in a revolution.
Yep.
So it's you can think of it this way, like if you're trying to crawl over a rock and you only have a 2-pole censored motor, you've got basically, I mean, for just simple terms, you got 2 pushes.
Yep.
To get 1 revolution of the motor, and when you have 6 pushes to get a revolution of motor, there's less likely it's going to stall or roll backwards. So you have a lot more initial torque. So you barely touch the trigger and it'll go right over the rock. Instead of like, you got to squeeze a little more, and then when it gets over the rock, it takes off fast because you had to squeeze it too much to begin with. So with a 6-pole, you don't have to, you just barely touch it and it goes right over the rock. Then when it goes over the rock, it doesn't speed up. It's more consistent. So, and then what we did with it's not only a 6-pole 18, you got 4-pole 12 slots. Ours are 6-pole 18 slots. So, and then another thing we did is we took the magnets, and instead of having just 6 poles on the rotor, we cut the magnets, split them, and offset them. So it feels like it's 12 magnets, but it's not. It's only 6 poles. But when you like turn the motor over, you've got a bunch of little bumps because we staggered the magnets. So it just makes it even more low speed smoothness and torque and control. So once we got that all together and got it working right, it's turned out to be a really good thing. We just got to get the word out more and let people experience them more. But yeah, we're excited about it, and hopefully they'll continue to sell.
Right. So where did your knowledge and drive, like, how did you go from being someone who enjoys building and crawling to someone who's working hard at developing and putting out this motor that hadn't been done in the crawling scene before? Like, how did that shift occur?
Well, I'm not a certified engineer. I didn't go to college for that or anything. But people that know me know I've always done the math on everything. I'm always calculating figures and telling people, well, this is what you need, this is what your speed you're doing. I'm real technical when it comes to that stuff, and I can understand, like an engineer, how things work, which really helps. And I've been working on these electronics. I was running brushless motors before Axial even come out with their, scale truck. They're the AX10. I was running brushless outrunners and scale trucks back before Axial came on the scene. So I've been doing it, a long time, as long as anybody else out there. But I never sold anything or got into it that way. I just been experimenting and learning this stuff as I go over the last 15 years or so. So that, all built up to now seeing how much space you got, in an actual 540 brushless motor compared with how many poles, how much separation between them. And, we got a design that works and finally got it rolling and put together and it's working good. So we're happy about it. But yeah, I just kind of self-taught, over the years of, I've been a mechanic, a bike mechanic and car mechanic, rebuilt transmissions. So I've always been in the technical aspect of it, and I've done the same thing with electronics. So it's just learning how to do it and go on with it. So.
All right, man. So I have to shift just ever so slightly. Someone just asked, what kilovolts do you offer? And then the answer just got answered in the comments. I was just going to ask if you just say it real quick. But do you have any of the Three Brothers goodies kicking around, like within arm's reach, that you could just kind of show off for a second? Everybody loves a nice show and tell.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd be glad to do that. Real quick, I'll answer the question before I grab the motor. Right now, we've got 1900 and 3800 kV in the Kratos 6. That's the 6-pole brushless motors. And in a couple weeks, we'll have the new 2750 kV. So it's a mid-range. Mm-hmm. And then a little insight for those that are watching. We have some new motors coming out in about a month and a half, and we're real excited about these. They're the 6-pole 18 slot with the staggered magnet, and they crawl super good. We've had some guys testing them for a while, and they're non-censored. Mm-hmm. So they're a really good motor, all watertight, waterproof. You don't have no sensor board to worry about, and you know, we haven't locked down a price range, but they'll probably be about half of what the other ones are.
Yeah.
So they're a really good mid-market motor that's going to work. So we're excited about those. Let me grab a motor real quick.
Yeah, awesome. So, Tom, I know you can still hear me. So while you're grabbing the motor, I'm going to ask a question that
I'm
was
back.
popped. Okay, you are quick. I'm going to ask a question that was popped up. They asked if you could run 4S on 2700 kV on one of yours.
Yes, no problem at all.
Okay.
No problem at all. Our 3800 is only rated for 3S, but so don't run 4S, even though I've put hours and hours on 4S with it, but don't tell nobody.
Yeah.
But the 20 is 3S for the 3800 and 4S for anything basically below that, which would be the 2750 and the 1900. And then our new non-censored motors coming out. We have an 1187 kV, a 2950, and a 4375. And it's 3S, and then for the 4375, and then 4S for the 1187 or the 2950. So we want to give a good variety of KVs.
Mm-hmm.
But
Awesome.
anyway, hope that answers that question.
I think it did. So show and tell time, maybe?
Sure. See if you can see this. This is, I think this is a 3800. Yeah, no, this is a 1900, but it doesn't matter. This is our Kratos 6 1900 kV motor. And these are really nice motors for those of you who haven't seen them up close. But they're a one-piece billet shell, unlike most of them are three pieces. These are one-piece design. So you see they're not, the end here is all made into the size. Out of one piece of aluminum. It's not just a can with two end caps. This is actually one solid piece of aluminum. So it's machined really nice. And then on the back, we have adjustable timing, which I don't think any other censored one for crawling does that right now, but we have actual adjusted timing mark right here. Probably can't see that, but you can actually adjust the timing either way, which is really nice because, you know, most ESCs you have a timing you can adjust on the ESC, but it only goes one way. So it doesn't go the other way for like torque. They're mainly made for speed, you know, to get higher RPM. But with these, you can actually dial them in for a little more torque, which is really nice. And then we have, you know, heavy duty gold plated connectors and a 5mm output shaft. So they're really heavy duty motors. They're light and they have a ton of torque because of the 6-pole design. So we're real happy with them. And they all are waterproof, so no issues there.
All right.
I do have a...
No, keep going.
Oh, no, I have a funny story I was going to tell
Absolutely.
this time a little later about waterproofing. So,
is it by chance the Red Cat River story? Because
yeah, that's the one.
I saw a message come up.
You heard about that?
Well, I kind of have heard about it, but I saw like tell the Red Cat story on the comments pop up, so it's written down over here on my like notes section to ask later. So let's talk about it now. I want to hear it.
Okay. I wish I could bring it in. Actually, it's out in the garage, but I still have it. So when this all started, you know, it was probably, I think it was February. So even though I'm in Virginia, it was pretty cold. It was, you know, around 20s, 30 degrees. And I was crawling by the Appomattox River there, and of course, I was testing out the new servo, and I was testing out our prototype motor, and I only had one at the time.
Yeah.
And I've done some testing on it. I've been testing it for a while, luckily, and I had some videos already. But I'm testing it, had the camera set up, you know, a real nice crawling spot. And, you know, I kind of slipped on the rocks, and I gave it too much gas, and I didn't have a drag brake on it set. So it just leaps off in the river. And of course, I got it all on video. And so I jumped in, laid on my stomach on the rocks and reached, tried to grab it, couldn't. So I was like, panic mode almost, because I was like, man, that's the only one I got. It's not like I can come up with one like that.
Right.
I didn't care about the money or the crawler. It was, this test product.
Right.
And so I jumped in the river, and it was about 30-degree water. It's the coldest water I've ever been in my life. And it was about 14 foot deep where it went in the river at. And it was really rocky. So I was frozen, and I tried best I could to look for it. I didn't want to let go of the rock because the river was up.
Right.
And I didn't want to be swept away from the current. So, I got myself out of the water and wrapped it. Went home, dried up, and then later on that night I went back, got in the water, tried again, couldn't find it. Then 2 days later, after I recovered from that, I made this pole that was like 16 foot long with an attachment on the end that I fished all over, couldn't find it. And I still hadn't given up yet. I had to get that back. So I hired a scuba team, and I had 3 scuba divers, and went out to this place, and I got pictures of it all, which I'm going to put a video together to show everything, but it's funny.
Yeah.
So I had this poor guy in a scuba suit, in this ice cold water, and he searched for about an hour and a half, and he couldn't find it. So, I thought, man, this thing is gone. I've had the scuba team come out, did all this, and, I gave it my best shot. So I was pretty, I was content with the effort I put into it. And I thought, well, get time to go to plan B. I'll just wait for, to get this other motor done and continue testing. So anyway, we ended up, I got my other motors done. We got them online and everything was rolling. This is 3 months later. I was selling products, so I was doing some testing down by the river, and I had my crawler down there, same one as I lost, but I just got another one. Put all the products back in it and did it again. And this guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I got something for you." So he opens the door of his truck, and there's the crawler that I lost down the river. He had seen me crawling there a bunch. He was a fisherman, and he knew, 2 weeks earlier, he found it. He hooked it with his line, and he pulled the crawler in. And of course, he took it right out of the river and set it in the back of his truck, so it rusted for 2 weeks, but that's all right. At least we got it, So it sat in the back of 2 weeks, and he'd come back and forth, get back and forth. He knew he'd find me eventually, and he did. So I told him how much I appreciated it, and I got the crawler back. And I thought, well, I'm just for the heck of it, I'm just gonna plug the electrics in to the servo.
Right.
And the servo worked. It worked like new. They did 3 months at the bottom of the river with that current and everything, and it worked perfect. So that was an unintentional, really good waterproofing test.
Yeah.
And then I had to take the motor off the chassis because it was rusted. The spur gear was rusted to the pinion gear, and so I had to unbolt the motor and get it out. But I hooked it up, and it turned over, but you could hear the rust in the bearings, from all that dirty creek water running through. But it still worked, but it was a little squeaky. But I still got the motor. I'm still using it. I cleaned everything, oiled the bearings, and working. But it's just funny that I went through all that and I ended up getting it back. So I kept the whole crawler. I got it there. So,
I would have
I'll
too,
do a
man.
video of it sometime.
That's a phenomenal story, and there were while you're telling the story, there's 10 requests to make sure that video gets posted. So so you have some homework to do.
It's something I've never done that. Everybody's dropped it. Everybody's probably dropped in a drink they didn't want to, but I've never lost a truck like that ever, and that was kind of the first time at the worst time possible.
Right.
But it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
It's just funny a fisherman ended up hooking it. It was about 100 feet down from where I dropped it. So
Okay.
it's just a funny story. But I will.
No,
I'll get the video together and I'm gonna post up the scuba divers, and it's funny. So I'll put the whole
it's
thing up there.
it's really a tremendous story, and it goes a lot to say about everything in general, like that. Um, it, regardless of any of the stuff, like to say that anything would come back from that is pretty awesome. It's kind of amazing where everything has come from when we all were starting into this hobby, and the advancements that everything has been made from there. So it's pretty awesome. Um,
Yeah, it is.
yeah. So let's talk about one of the other things that I've seen posted up a whole bunch of times, and people are saying, reveal the servo winch, reveal the servo winch. Well, I'm pretty sure the servo winch has, I mean, it hasn't been like visibly like, here's the servo winch, but I mean, you had a video of it pulling something or something like that.
Yeah, I pulled a 5x8 trailer with some wood on it, probably 100 and some pounds of wood, and I I had to hold the truck. It was hard to hold back, but it did pull the trailer in the grass. So it did it actually. If for those of you who saw the video, it didn't stall too bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'm gonna outdo it. So I have this video in the I haven't edited it yet. So this is funny. So I parked the cars. I have two Subarus,
Mm-hmm.
4x5s, and I parked them on. We have a pretty level street, and I parked them on the street, and I strapped the TRX4 in between the two cars, and I put the emergency brake on one. So I hooked the little hook, up under the body of the Subaru I have,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a Legacy, four-door Legacy, and which they're kind of difficult to push just because they're four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But so I hooked the crawler up between them and hooked the 4S up to the winch and hit the button, and it started to slow the winch down and broke the hook. So I did it again, and it started to pull the Legacy, and it moved it about 3/4 of a tire turn, and it ripped the spool off the end of the servo.
Yeah.
It was a plastic spool that I had, but it ripped it off
Mm-hmm.
the end of the servo. So and bent the screw over. So we're currently in the process of designing a real nice spool for the winches
Mm-hmm.
that will double the speed and cut down the power a little bit because they're a little too strong, really.
Yeah.
So with this other spool we're coming out with, we're going to double the line speed and cut down the power. So it'll make it super fast. You won't need a free spool. You just reel it in, reel it out. It'll be real quick. So we're excited about that. I probably can't tell nothing because it looks like normal, but I really like the mount, by the way, from RC Addicts that I put on here. It lets me put the servo winch real low, and then when you put the spool on it, it comes right out perfectly at the fairlead. So it's a really
Yeah.
nice setup. And the way we're designing the spool, it won't go off and get tangled up. It'll stay right with it. So, and this is the servo winch here, of course, and you don't need a winch controller for it. So it plugs in just like our servos do. So one will go to, here I'm running a dual no solder connector that we sell, and that
Mm-hmm.
hooks to your balance port. And I got the servo winch and then the servo off the other one. And then the other sides just plug into the receiver right here. So you don't have to buy a winch controller with them. You just plug them in and use them. And another cool thing about them is they're variable speed, like a speed controller.
Yeah.
So you can slow them down and speed them up, the winches. So it's pretty cool that way, and fully waterproof.
Yeah.
So we're excited about getting those out. They're going to be, they're probably a month or so out from getting finalized, but we're real excited about when those come out.
Awesome. So let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about some of the builds over time. And so uh, right now, your name is very synonymous with the Three Brothers stuff, and that's all coming out and it's new and awesome. But man, you've built some cool stuff too. So when I first met you, it was this indoor comp at like the Badlands or whatever it was called in Ohio. I don't know if you even remember that comp. Like it was,
Oh, yeah,
it was like a huge comp out of nowhere. Like everybody just like showed up, and I thought there was gonna be like 30 people there, and it was huge. But
yeah, great fun, great fun.
it was super fun. Uh, and so when we were doing that, you had a really cool buggy there, and you were one of the first people. Like, so when you look at like the We Rock buggies, they triangulate down for like a 3 link in the rear with like the panhard and all of that. And you were one of the first people that I personally had seen in person with a buggy that did that. And so that was one of the coolest things that I had seen at that point. And so I've kind of always followed the build stuff. Um, how many trucks have you built up to this point?
You know, I was looking at that question, and I think around 26, but I know I've forgotten a few over the years. You know, you kind of go through so many of them,
Yeah.
but I think around 25, 26 trucks. Um, what am I mean, the nylon actually counts because I probably put more hours in that daggone nylon getting it to hold together than I did any other truck in my life. But um, one of my favorite builds, I guess, was my first real scale truck. And I don't know if you remember, I don't know who made the body, but they're the CJ5 bodies, Lexan bodies
Okay.
that they produced for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know who made it, but I'm pretty sure I know exactly what one you're talking about.
yeah, it was kind of narrow and it had a 9 inch, 8.5, 9 inch wheelbase. So something like that.
Yeah.
So I took, you know, that was my first real scale truck that I built. And, you know, back then there wasn't axial or anything like that.
Mhm.
So I had aluminum TLT axles I picked up, and I took a piece of square steel stock, you know, and I bent it, split it, made the frame rail chassis, and then I made leaf springs for it, and I had those all the way around. Um, I used what transmit? Oh, I used a gear drive into a hacked up Stampede transmission for a transfer case. So I had, well, gear reduction, and then
Yeah.
I had a hacked up Stampede transmission. And this is like way back in 2005 or whatever. And then I put a 600-watt outrunner on it on this 8.5 inch wheelbase truck. So it would actually do a standing backflip on 1.9s, which was pretty funny back then. It They had a saying, you know, we were at the time we were really into 2.2 crawlers, you know, crawling over the rocks
Yeah.
and you know, the 2.2 pro crawlers, whatever you call them now. But this, you know, everybody makes fun because they'd say his scaler can do it. You know, if your pro rig can't do it, his scaler do it because I just jump things with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a fun build, but that was one of my more fun builds. But I think my favorite one was the ABT buggy is what I called it. That one you were talking about.
Yeah.
That is probably one of my favorite builds.
If I remember right, it was like hot pink.
Yeah, actually Todd painted that for me. He did a good job with it. Powder coated it for me,
Yeah.
and it was like hot pink. And I've had the panels I used. I think I used Rockstar pop can. I cut the Rockstar panels
Yeah.
out. Then one time I used Coors Light for the panels on it. It looked pretty good.
Yeah. I think
But
the iteration I
no,
saw had Coors Light. So
yeah, yeah. But it was a neat looking buggy, and at the time, you know, nobody had anything like it. And
yeah.
it had the 3 link front and rear
Yep.
with a full droop setup. And I tried to make it, you know, just like the real ABT buggy. I modeled it after,
Hmm.
you know, the same basic stuff. So it was a lot of fun. But I love tubers and building like stuff like that, and forming the roll cage and everything. It's a lot of fun for me.
Awesome. So let's talk about like what is the all right. So a little backstory. You and I have been involved in various different groups along the way, talking about rules and stuff for a long time, and scale and all these things. And so I know that you're kind of a proponent of you should build something scale, but you like your view on it is a little different than some of the other people that I've interacted with. So what is like the one thing that you can't leave off of a scale build? It must have this.
Oh, that's a tough one. One thing that it has to have. That's a good question. Uh, Trying to think. Can I pass on that?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't know if I have to have. I've tried so many different things. I try different things all the time on my scale trucks. I always have to make something for every truck. So I guess if it has to have something,
Yeah.
it's something I handmade. I can't just buy everything. I have to make, I guess that would be it. I have to make something on every truck I build.
Yeah.
So usually it's metal forming of some sort. I usually have to do that with every truck no matter what. So I guess my answer would be I have to physically make something on that truck rather than just buy it. I guess that's my signature for any truck I do.
All right.
If I count, will I count?
No, it counts awesome. So my answer is and has always been it has to have an interior. Like I cannot do the no interior look. And so like that's the non-negotiable for me. It doesn't have to be a great one. You can put like a Lexan bomber shell like interior in there and it's fine. You just can't have that hollow no interior look going on. So but
That's a good one to have. That's
yeah.
a good one to have.
And so I just saw a comment that says that your answer was great, especially in a buy it now kind of world where a lot of people choose not to make their own stuff. And I think people find it intimidating. And so I like to see when people make stuff too.
Yeah, I think it's intimidating, and there's so many options now. There's almost no matter what you can think of, somebody's probably selling it.
Yeah.
So it's so easy just to buy something and put it on, and usually they can sell it and they're so good at it that it'd be hard for you to make it. But
Yep.
I still like to do something on all my rigs that nobody else. I did it. And I'm not relying on anybody else. So I kind of like that
Yeah.
part of it.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. So let's talk a little bit about who are the people that you follow in the scale community. So who are your influences, and if you're going to pick someone who you would suggest to be on the show, who would you pick?
That's some toughies. Let's see. I mean, I see so many builds. It's hard to pick one. I know Donnie does some. He has some really cool builds. So it'd be neat to see him share. Has he been on yet?
He has. He definitely.
Okay.
He definitely.
Well,
if
I
he
missed it.
would do it would be probably about due for a revisit because he's built some really cool stuff since he's been on, and he's gotten a lot of mentions from recent guests that he's doing cool stuff, and he definitely is. So he might be a good re-up for Donnie to be on again. So
Yeah, he's good at building stuff, and then there's a lot of guys that I apologize, I don't know their names, but I see their build, and they really do a good job at that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd say anybody that really build something like that,
Mm-hmm.
that puts a lot of time, effort into it. Anybody that does that would be neat to have. And, you could, like the owner of RC Four-Wheel Drive or some company like that, if you could get them on, that would be, I mean, he's probably one of the most, I guess influential guys for the whole scale community was RC Four-Wheel Drive
Mm-hmm.
way back in the beginning. It'd be neat to hear from him or one of the representatives or
Yeah.
actually funny is the guy that when I started our indoor crawling facilities, a friend of mine named Rob was his first employee ever. So that was pretty cool. This was way back, in 2004. So he was just getting
Yeah.
started back then, I believe. So,
Mm-hmm.
but he's in California, so it'd be cool to get him on. I think that'd be real neat. I think everybody would tune into that program if you could actually line it
I
up.
think that would probably be a pretty high number viewing. I would think so. Maybe I'll send a message. I don't know. I'm not above sending messages to anybody. I just like promoting all the cool stuff and the various different people who are doing all the cool stuff, and that's what I'm after. Um,
Yeah.
so since you've been doing this for a long time, you inevitably have run up against a ton of new drivers, a ton of people who are just starting out. What is your best piece of advice that you give to anyone who you meet who is just starting out?
If don't get too overwhelmed with everything. Everybody's going to tell you what you need to have on your truck. And I think the most important thing is just to get used to the basics, get used to your stock truck and its capabilities, and get used to driving it. I think that's the most important thing. I sell high-end motors and servos, but that's really not the most important thing when you're starting out. I'm not going to go suggest to buy $100+ motor or servo, unless you just got a lot of money. But there's a just simple tuning. Lowering your center of gravity, dropping the truck down. Just little things can make a huge difference. Learning how to set your endpoints on your radio, learning how to tune the ESC. There's so many more important things that doesn't cost a dime that you can do to make it a lot better driving experience. So I would suggest that don't get overwhelmed with buying all this stuff. Nowadays, even the tires are somewhat decent, on the vehicles that they're coming out with. So uh, just learn to do the basics first and have fun with it. And if you want to buy something, see something that catches your eye, like new set of tires or this or that, then have fun with it, and just don't overcomplicate things.
All right. That's great advice. It very much mirrors a lot of what people say, and so it's cool to hear people who sit in a place where you could be like, buy the best motor and buy the best motor and servo you can, and that'll solve all your problems. But
Yeah, that's all everything.
the reality of it is that that's not the best advice for a new driver, and I'm happy to see that lots of people over and over again are saying those same things, that like learn what you're doing, learn about the truck, learn how to do the stuff, because that's the best investment for you is time and not necessarily money. So
Yeah, exactly. I sell expensive stuff, fairly expensive, and I do that for guys like you and me
mm-hmm.
that are serious about our trucks, and we want the best stuff out there. I'm not selling these things to make new guys go broke and get frustrated in the hobby.
Right.
There's more things to do. Once you get more involved, like anything, then work towards the higher end stuff where you really enjoy having the best in your truck.
Yeah.
But at first, just have fun. Get a feel for everything, meet people.
All right.
Just have fun with it.
So this is the point the interview where I generally ask about views on team driver stuff, but I'm going to shake it up a little bit with you. And I want to talk about your choice to do, I mean, you do have a team, you have team drivers and all of that, but I want to talk about your choice to do some contingency awards because in our portion of the hobby, you're the first person that I'm aware of who is doing that. There might be someone else out there, but I just don't know. Can you explain some of that to anybody who would be tuning in either now or over on YouTube and kind of talk a little bit about why you chose that path?
Yeah, the contingency programs. I personally like them. I've been involved with contingencies for many years racing. It's big in the racing, and any professional sport has some sort of contingency.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's basketball or truck, autocross, whatever. There's always some sort of contingency. So I'm kind of trying to bring it into the RC world, and it's a way that we can, as a vendor, if you're running our products, it's a way to give you back something.
Yep.
So how a contingency works is if you're running, like say, Three Brothers RC products, and you're at these selected events, which I say, if you got any ideas for events, just let me know, and we'll try to do a contingency there. So what happens is we pay out what we call 3BRC bucks, and for the top three in each class at an event. So like first place will receive 50 bucks, $50, 3BRC bucks, and second place is like 35, and third is 25, something like that, for each class. So you have to be running our product. So it's a way for us to give back to the people that support us, and it works out really well. And we've had to do it a few times. Now we just started it, and we're trying to get more events involved, So it works out great because if you're running our servo or our motor and you get a first place, and all of a sudden you got a $50 discount, So that's almost half a servo or a motor, So that's a real big help towards a next purchase. And if somebody was to win 2 or 3 events, they could really do well. And it's not really going to hurt us or hurt a vendor to do that for their customer. Yeah. So my hopes is more vendors are going to catch on to it and start doing it, and I think it'll help all the events overall. Because if somebody's maybe running an RC 4-wheel drive, truck, then maybe RC 4-wheel drive would have a contingency. Hey, so it's an incentive to run that product, and you, as a driver, if you're somewhat competitive, it's a way for you to get, make it easier on you to purchase more stuff. So it's kind of a neat thing. I don't know if I explained it 100% right, but it's a thing that we can do to help the people that are supporting us. So
yeah. And I love the idea. I think it's awesome. I enjoyed when it came out. I enjoyed the buzz that it created. It got me thinking about all of that stuff, and it's definitely cool, man. And I hope we do see more of that type of stuff going on, and the competitive realm of what we're doing. So,
I mean, I think there's plenty of people out there doing it. I think it would work.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. This next year will be I think it'll work pretty well. So.
All right. What should we expect to see next from you and from Three Brothers RC before I let you go?
We're gonna keep on pushing towards the new products. You've already, heard about the winch and the new motors coming out, and we've got some big things on down the road planned also. But I'm not gonna let the cat out of the bag yet. But we're gonna keep, do our best to keep improving on on everything we do, and I guess our number one goal is to provide good customer service to people, and make sure it's, they get their stuff on time, and we have great warranties, and we're gonna plan on trying to make more events and being there for the people and having products for them to see, and really get involved in the stuff, because we enjoy it. I enjoy going to all the events and meeting people, and I still love competing. So it's a lot of fun. So we're in there for the long haul, and we got some good stuff coming out, and I think everybody's gonna appreciate it. So.
All right, man. So is there anything I missed? Anything you want to add? Anything that you need to say before I let you go, close out the show, and move on?
Oh, not really. I appreciate you having me on, and it's been fun. The crawling community is a great community, and everybody's really good people that we deal with, and as well as I do that everybody's there to help.
Yep.
It's a really great sport, and I think it's really growing, and I think it's going to continue growing. I was explaining to a guy the other day, you don't have to trailer your Jeep, you don't have to hook the trailer and drive 3 hours and, spend the whole day and a lot of money to have fun.
Yep.
You can do it in your backyard, you can do it down the road by a creek, and you can have your son or daughter right next to you, doing it, and in the house building trucks, and it really works out good for the family as well as people in the city or country, and
yeah.
I think it's a good all-around hobby, and it's catching over worldwide. If you pay attention to the other countries, it's really taken off there too.
Yeah, it's blown up big.
So, I think
they're getting huge events that I see pop up through some of the Facebook groups and stuff that I see.
Crazy.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to keep going. So I'm really excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, I hear you. So, all right, man. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. I've followed what you've done for a really long time. I was excited to see the Three Brothers stuff come out. I've tried some of your stuff. It's in my wish list of things. So we'll see. We'll see when that comes about, when the money rolls back into the buying stuff for RC trucks. But yeah. So thanks for being on. I can't wait to see where it all goes from here.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go and then finish out the show. So I'll talk to you later, man.
All right. See you.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for our interview with Tom Asher. If you're still here and you were here for our lull in the middle, I apologize for that. Sometimes we have technical difficulties. We have to roll with the punches. We have to put some stuff together and figure out how to make it work. And we did that. We carried through, and Tom made it back in, and we finished out this episode alive at 9:45. I have to tell you, though, that I have 0 announced guests right now. So that means that no one knows who's going to be on next week except me and the person who will be on next week. So with that said, pay attention for an announcement of who's going to be on. Could be really interesting, to be completely honest with you. If you aren't already following all of my social media, check me out on Facebook, Instagram, over on YouTube at VanOrd Customs, and lastly, go to the website, check out the products. I haven't put anything new out in a while, but there are new things waiting in the wings. I just haven't gotten there. So, to sum things up, thank you guys all for tuning in. If it wasn't for all of you, it would just be me talking to a camera like it was for a little bit in the middle there, and that's incredibly boring, we've come to find out. So keep tuning in. We'll keep bringing on guests and interviewing cool, important people in our hobby, or just cool people who are doing cool things. And that's the end goal here. So promoting the great stuff that happens in this hobby and doing it as often as I can, hopefully every week. So I will catch you guys all next week with another live at 9:45 with a mystery guest, I guess. So Have a good night, guys. Catch you later.